Good morning. Welcome back to Pagitt Radio, Hour 2, broadcasting live here on September 19th, 2010, at the 11 o'clock hour. Broadcasting, and you may know that very often here in the 11 o'clock slot, we try to have an interview, a conversation with a newsmaker, with a scientist, with a person who has a contribution to the larger conversation of religion and life and society and all going on, and we invite these people to come in on the program. In fact, if you have someone you'd like to hear on the program, someone you'd like to have a conversation with, go over to DougPagittRadio.com. Let me know, and I'd be glad to set up an interview with them. People are quite glad to do this. A little programming note. Next week's program is going to be pre-recorded. It's being recorded this week and really part of last week. It'll be broadcast live on Sunday, but I'm away for the weekend.
Yes.
Getting away from my kids, as Carla tells us. I'm away for the weekend, and so we're putting together the show ahead of time. And I did an interview on Thursday of this last week with Barbara Bradley Haggerty.
Yeah.
She's the religion correspondent for NPR News, National Public Radio.
That's big time.
And does a great job. It was a very big time for her. She said it was one of the highlights of her career.
Did she say that? Really?
No, she didn't. I could hear it in her voice.
Yeah.
She was feeling like Doug Pagitt Radio was sort of the pinnacle.
Sure.
In fact, I think she felt a little nervous about where was she going to go from here.
Right.
We had a great conversation about her book, The Fingerprints of God, an interview with scientists around the world on what they're learning about God and spirituality and the brain, and it's a terrific book, really, really great, very personal, and we had a terrific conversation, and that's going to be airing next week. And so we get these we get these newsmakers like that. And as I promised you, we were going to have a conversation with Michael Dowd. Michael Dowd bills himself as an evolutionary evangelist. But Michael hasn't called in today.
Yeah.
And you know what I think this is? I think this is karma kickback.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think it's karma kickback on me for feeling all fancy about having my friend Barbara on the show, and sort of bragging about it. And then yesterday I was on somebody else's radio program because I not only do I host this show, but I write books.
Sure.
And I have a new book out called Church in the Inventive Age, and those people wanted to talk about my book, which I don't talk about enough on this radio program. Some people tell me. I know, but it just feels like it just feels a little too self-promotional. I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be that radio personality that's just pushing his own stuff, just in it for the money. I don't want to be doing that.
You don't think your material is important?
No, I think my material is very important. In fact, I think it's probably the most important book that I've written this year.
Yeah.
And I think you should pick it up, and I think you should buy it at your local bookstore. You should buy it online, Church in the Inventive Age. I think it's a world changer for anybody who's involved in religion or in life in the 21st century.
It's been #1 in my bathroom since its release.
I think #1 book in John's bathroom says a lot.
It does.
But anyway, I was on this radio program, and I had to call in late. We'd set it up that I would call in at 11 a.m., and some circumstances presented themselves that
you were that guy.
I was that guy. I had to call in late for my own radio and for a radio interview somebody had set up.
Oh, geez.
And I know, but I'm not even going to go into how righteous I was for being that guy.
Sneezing in a napkin gets a cripes, but that doesn't. I think you're kind of limiting yourself in your.
Look. If we went into all the ways in which I earned the cripes to come on, you got to be kidding me. In the ways that I've made the world less pleasurable and less righteous.
We'd need a 3-hour program.
We'd have a 3-hour.
50 and 10.
we'd have to have more hours, maybe a daily program.
Yeah.
Well, but anyway, Michael hasn't called in yet, but he may call in. So
Okay.
When he does, here's what I want to talk to him about. I like what he's up to. He's written a book called "Thank God for Evolution." And his argument is that there's this big thing going on in the larger story of the cosmos, and that it's not at all inconsistent with Christianity. It's not all inconsistent with the Hebrew faith. It's not at all inconsistent with the other great faiths of the world. That evolution is not the problem. Evolution is a conversation partner about how things go. And on his Facebook status, and if you're friends with Michael Dowd, you might see this. You might have seen this already. Michael's Facebook status has this great little phrase that I really want to talk to him about, and we're going to get him back on the show at some time, unless he's dodging me on purpose.
Maybe.
The phrase is this: facts are God's native tongue. That's a great phrase.
Yeah.
God speaks in facts, so don't let facts be the thing that's gonna disturb your faith.
Yeah.
Facts are God's native tongue. I like that. I like it a lot. Now, as somebody who sort of understands some postmodern thinking and postmodern perspectives on truth,
Sure.
one would say, look, facts are always interpreted facts.
Okay.
Right? Facts are always something that someone doesn't just take the data, then you have to interpret the data. So every time you're into a fact, you are also interpreting that fact. So sometimes I think people set up a bit of a false separation between a fact and an opinion.
The understanding of fact can be influenced by other things.
Can be influenced by other things. What do you mean by a fact? And some people speak about the cold, hard facts or the data. But even data itself that you're going to gather is chosen for a particular reason. You have a certain set of data that includes this information and not others. So I get all of that. But I like the notion that facts are God's native tongue.
Sure.
That whatever is true, whatever is good, whatever is right, whatever is beautiful, these are the things that we ought to be about. That's actually a quoted Bible phrase. But see, I can just throw it into normal conversation like that because I'm trying to.
Beautiful. Man.
Well, this is the kind of thing that I wanted to talk to him about. And then he goes on and asks these three other questions that I think are worth people knowing about. And they should know about them today. They shouldn't have to wait till tomorrow. He says, facts are God's native tongue. And if there are scriptures beyond the holy text, and if God didn't stop communicating knowledge long ago, and if it's possible for new understandings to arise in ways more widely available and testable than what can be channeled through our hearts and minds of lone individuals, then surely this is it. God in reality communicate to us by publicly revealing new facts.
Hanging tin on the slippery slope, man.
I like it. I like it that he's making this bold argument. It's an argument that I've wanted to make over and over myself, and I'm glad that I can partner with Michael in making it. So it's, anytime you get somebody who's saying what you're already saying, you try to amplify that, right?
Sure.
Well, I think he's saying this interesting thing that the facts that we have about the world that we live in, the facts that we have about the planet, the facts that we have from biology and from chemistry and from physics, none of those should be getting in the way of our faith. If we've created a faith that is designed in such a way that the facts have to first run through the grid of previous understanding, I think we find ourselves in trouble.
Yeah, or if those facts or other influences can somehow destabilize our faith, and our faith really isn't that strong.
Yeah, and this is what I think, even inside the holy texts themselves. So for me, the Bible fits in that category. Even inside the Bible, what you have is some activity, some fact, some happening that people of that day had to say, does that fit or doesn't it fit? And part of what makes the stories of the Bible alive and feel like they fit even our day is that people were seeing things, hearing things, having happenings that they're like, that doesn't make any sense. How could God behave that way? So even within the texts themselves, you have a whole faith that's built around new ideas, new understandings, new revelations, new facts that cause people to say something must be afoot. Maybe we've understood wrongly God or humanity or the earth or something else. So this isn't only true in like scientific discovery as it relates to faith. It's true within all of our lived experiences, that just maybe we've arranged the world in our heads and our understanding of it in ways that aren't helpful anymore, and that new presentations of the way things are start to interfere with that.
Yeah, but doesn't that make things kind of, wishy-washy? If everything is, points to God, then, doesn't that kind of lead to some sort of like erosion of the Judeo-Christian story?
Yeah, see, and I think what you're getting at, this is a good question. And for a lot of people, they're like, look, each religion needs to have its corner on the market. If I could put words around that maybe you're not saying. But here's what I think people mean by that. If our faith could have a corner on the market where we're able to say things that nobody else can say and that nobody else knows, that it has to be special. And in Christian theology, there are these categories that systematic theologians have created. And they fall under the headings of general revelation, the things that are revealed to everyone, and special revelation. It's really a play on the words of general relativity and special relativity out of Einstein thing. But anyway, general revelation and special revelation. And there's people who think that these two categories are like important. I think that they're not very helpful at all, and I don't use them. But there's people who would say, okay, yeah, there's the things that we just kind of know because everyone can observe them and everyone can see them. But the holy texts, on the other hand, they have special revelation, which only people who believe or understand the text or know the text can properly understand.
And so they're more important.
And so therefore they carry more power, right? This kind of thing. Now, I think that's extraordinarily dangerous and extraordinarily inaccurate. I just don't think that's an honest way to reveal it. I think whatever facts there are, however God reveals God's self to humanity, isn't done in secret. This is what I like about what Michael's getting at. I think he's getting at that there's this really long story, as he calls it, the 14 million year story of what God's up to in the world. And I think that that's far more interesting. And this idea that, well, no, there's these certain people who have access to the truths of God that are special and other people don't have access to those, that's something that's always made me uncomfortable. Because I feel like the way that we're supposed to express faith, the way we're supposed to understand faith, even within the traditions that we have, or if our traditions don't know how to do this, they should, need to be something far more broad that everyone has access to. Because whatever God is up to in the cosmos includes the entire cosmos and is not hiding it from certain people. Now, I can hear my conservative friends saying right now,
the tip of the iceberg to universalism, Doug.
all right, so we're going to come back here and we're going to talk about this universalism thing. That's where I wanted to go with Michael, but I'm going to play the role of Michael Dowd. I don't need Michael to make my point today. I'm going to make my point today. I'm going to tell it the way I want to tell it because I think there's a bigger story. Universalism isn't even big enough.
Ooh.
Because the universe isn't big enough. We got to get into the entire cosmos.
Okay.
That's cosmosism, I want you saying by the end of it. I want you screaming out, this is the tip of the cosmosism iceberg here.
Okay.
And that's extremely, and then you can decide if it's dangerous or life-giving. So after this, we're going to be back with a little cosmosism. Cosmism. It's a little cosmism because universalism isn't big enough when it comes to the story. At least as a Christian, I would say the story that the Bible tells us. We'll be back here. Doug Pagitt Radio, broadcasting live on AM 950.